Who loves little houses for your garbage? I do. Stick around to find out why. So thanks for checking us out. If this is your first time here, there's a link in the description to episode 1, and I recommend you go back and watch it just so you understand what it is I'm trying to do and why I'm doing it. Now in this episode, we're going to be talking about garbage sheds. In episode 1, I talked about the 4 different streams of income I was going to try to develop, and garbage sheds was number 1 on the list. Because who doesn't love a good garbage shed? Let me tell you about how I wound up with mine. So I live in a city where we have standardized sizes of garbage bins. There's a small, medium, and large, and you could pick whichever size it is that you wanted. You had one for your garbage, one for your recycling, and another one for your green bin stuff, like your kitchen waste. So everybody had to get one of these sizes for their garbage. So we wound up getting a large one for our recycling, a medium for our garbage, and the green bin was just a standardized size for everybody. Now, when I say large, I mean large. These things are 4 feet high, 30 inches across, and probably about 35 or 36 inches deep for the large bins. And we had the large, the medium, and then this green bin. It took up more space in my garage than anything else. Every time I was going in there, I had to move these things around to get at whatever it was I was trying to get at. So I finally got frustrated with it and said, that's it, I'm building a house for my garbage. So I built myself a garbage shed. Took my garbage cans out of my garage, stuck them in this shed. They were built for the size of my bins. It protected them from the snow and the animals and the rain and all that kind of stuff. But most importantly, I got my garage space back. Now, the following weekend, my father-in-law shows up and he looks over and he says, "Oh, I need one of those." Because he had the same problem that I did. These garbage bins were taking up so much space in his garage, he didn't have room for other stuff. So I wound up building one for him too. And as I'm over at his place setting this thing up, there's a neighbor across the street looking over, and I can tell he's going to come and ask me a question. And sure enough, he wanders over and just asks me what I'm doing. So I started thinking to myself, I'm an average guy. My father-in-law is an average guy. Presumably his neighbor is an average guy. I wonder if there's other people out there that just might want to solve this problem of these huge bins taking up all this space in their garage. So I decide what I'll do is put a little ad up on Facebook Marketplace. I build these sheds. If you're interested, let me know. And I honestly didn't expect to get much of a response because this was in October of 2019, maybe November. And sure enough, I didn't get a lot of interest. October, November, December, the snow's starting to fly. People aren't thinking about being outside and thinking about their garbage. But then came March of 2020, before things went nuts. And I started on a consistent basis getting inquiries about building these sheds. And I started selling a few of them. Then the pandemic hit, and I kind of thought to myself, oh, that might be the end of it, because who's going to want to go out spending a lot of money when people are getting laid off left, right, and center? But that didn't seem to slow it down. By the end of April or the middle of May, I probably had a 6 or 7 week waiting list of people that were interested in these things and waiting for me to build them one. By the end of summer, interest had started to fade, which was actually fine by me because I was having trouble actually getting lumber to build them. The pandemic, I guess, had taken full hold and places were beginning to shut down and the supply of lumber just wasn't there. And the supply that was available was becoming very expensive. Now, by October or so, the supply had returned and prices had begun to drop a bit, but by then people weren't interested. So I kind of think this will be a seasonal product that will run from maybe April until September, and then interest will probably dry up on it again, which is fine by me because my workshop isn't heated. I don't particularly want to spend all that time out there in the cold in the winter anyways. Now, one of the problems I had last year was that it was taking too long to build these sheds for what I was selling them for. Now, I could just raise the price of these sheds, but I kind of felt that I was hitting a ceiling in terms of the price last year, and I think raising the price will probably drive away customers. So I've spent some time this winter trying to figure out how I can more efficiently build the sheds or change the design in order to be able to build them more quickly. And I think I've come up with a solution. So my next steps for this one is going to be to build another prototype using the new process and the new design of shed that I've come up with. And hopefully I can get the time involved in building one of these sheds down to about 6 hours. 6 hours for building plus an hour or so for delivery works for me in terms of the amount of money I can get for them and how much time is involved in actually building them. So there are 3 different sizes of sheds that I build depending on the size of garbage cans that people have, right? Small, medium, or large. The material cost that goes into them ranges probably from about $300 to $400, and I sell them between $650 and $750. So on average, probably around a profit of about $250 or so per shed. Now, the problem I had last year was that I was spending too much time building and delivering these things to really make it worthwhile. I wasn't losing money, but if you were looking at how much I was making per hour, it probably didn't make a lot of sense for me to be doing it. But it was a learning experience. So over this winter, I've been spending time redesigning the sheds to make them more efficient to build, so I can build them in a shorter amount of time. And then by building them in the shorter amount of time, obviously, I can make more per hour doing it. My goal is to sell enough of these to make $7,000 in profit over this particular summer, which means selling probably about one shed a week from April until September. The goal is also to get that build time down to about 6 hours per shed plus an hour for delivery. If I can do that, I'll be satisfied with what I'm doing in terms of selling these sheds. So my next steps for this one are to buy some materials and build a prototype. And I want to try and get that done by the beginning of March at the latest, so I can get some pictures taken, get another Facebook ad up there, and maybe even start promoting a little bit just to see if I'll get the same response this year that I did last year. So that's it for this week. Next week's episode will be on the second stream of income that I'm going to try and develop, and that is selling small wooden household items like cutting boards and desk organizers and trays. So if that interests you, make sure you come back to see that video. That's it for now. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button down below and the subscribe button. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week.